Hello, hello, hello. I am making a rock from the ocean affirmation video. It is dark outside and rainy and windy, but I love it. I went out there in pouring rain with this jacket on, my big self-made winter pants, with my croc shoes and without socks. I went into the greenhouse. I sat there on my chair and I let my bare feet stand on the cement in the driveway. The cement driveway that is grounded to the earth, and the cement stone that doesn't contain any kind of oil or black tar or those kind of things. So that's just real rock cement, and that is grounded, and that transfers the energy, like this rock here transfers the energy, the healing, balancing energy from the earth into my body. And that is absolutely wonderful and gorgeous and great. And I did that for about 10 to 15 minutes. I tried to stand it as long as I can, sitting there on this folding chair in the greenhouse in front of the potato plant. And I grounded the potato plant too with a wire. And ever since I did that, it immediately started to expand the leaves and started to get bigger and happier. So we want to get that done. We want to get wires. Just put, I don't know, a millimeter thick wire, long wire, stick it into the plant pot and let the other side touch the ground. So just have like a loop in a loop. Okay, one side touches the ground. It has to touch either cement or grass or earth, soil, and then the other side goes into, it is plugged into the earth soil in the pot, and that's all you have to do. Okay, and it will ground your plants, and they will do much better. Okay, they talked about this in those documentary films about grounding, and some people call it earthing. So I call it grounding because eventually we're going to be on other planets. We're going to be grounding there as well. So they might call it Marsing or mooning. So, but it's a grounding process that balances out your body and your brain, and it is proven scientifically. This is not some kind of hocus pocus or new age thing. This is real stuff. Okay, this is real biochemistry in action. Okay, the earth has a very balanced electric charge, and that when that goes into your body just by touching a leaf, this can happen, then it balances out your own electromagnetic charge that you have in your body. And for me, this was so intense. When we were in Reno, we traveled in our motorhome. That was in 2005. It was April 2005. We were with our former dog Samantha in Reno for about a month with the motorhome. We stayed there by a river, and it was really beautiful. Samantha had an encounter with a black and white large bird, and that bird had the same colors as Samantha, and the bird was a mother bird protecting her nest, and instead of going after me, the bird went after Samantha. So the bird must have recognized Samantha with her shape as still, wolfish dog, that four-legged animal shape. So the bird was really more concerned about the four-legged animal than the two-legged ones. So that was quite interesting. And then Samantha finally had enough and barked at the bird. The bird got really scared and like shocked and flew off. And it was really nice in Reno, but the problem was that month was a very dry month. There was no rain, and it was getting warm in Reno. Even I think it was already the beginning of May. I think late April, beginning of May, and I was worried about it getting way too hot, because it gets really hot there in the summertime. So, but there were these dry, heavy winds, like real heavy winds. And us being in a motorhome, every time I got even close, like even getting this close, like several inches away from any kind of metal in that motorhome. There were metal, like doorknobs, or metal in the kitchen, on the stove, metal knobs on the cabinets. And if I even got a couple of inches away from the metal, there would be, and this may sound really exaggerated, but it's not at all exaggerated. A blue thunder, I'm not exaggerating, a blue thunder lightning would come out of the metal and lighten into my skin. And there was no sound connected to it, but I saw the blue lightning zigzagging from the metal, like this, real, like a flash, like a lightning flash from the metal going into my skin. If my hand was anywhere near that, and then it would go through my bones in my hands and through my entire body, through the bones in my entire body, and would cause real serious pain. And when I told Paul, I just got electrocuted again, it hurts, he would not believe it. He would gaslight me, he would not believe it. But it's true. This is what happened every single time. So I finally said, we can't stay here. I wanted to go to all these hot springs on a 395 freeway that goes through the middle of the desert from south to north. And there are so many hot springs there. And that's an old freeway, an old highway, of course, there's a reason why there are all the hot springs along that path, because the old settlers created that trail. That was originally just a dirt trail, when they still had horsebacks riding and carriages and horse carriages and people walking on foot, people walking with their cattle down there, and they would stop at all of those hot springs to recover, to stay there, to camp there for a couple of weeks before they would move on. And so they would go from one hot spring to the next, because they would have water and everything there for them. So that's why there are all these hot springs along that path, because they figured out where all of these springs are, and then that created that main trail, and then it became a road, and then it became a highway, and then it became a freeway. So that's how it evolved. And I wanted to go to all these places, and I couldn't because I got electrocuted. And that's because we were not grounding outside enough. I did bathe in the river there where that bird was. That was very beautiful. There was a vacant land for sale. I don't know, it's probably not for sale anymore. Probably someone bought it, developed it, whatever. I hope they did not pave this natural, beautiful place. But no, it was so nice, and I didn't get grounded enough, I guess, So now, knowing that about the grounding, knowing about the vital importance about it, I go out at least once a day and put my bare feet either on the grass or on the cement. And the cement, when it rains outside, the cement in the greenhouse is always very, very, very soaking wet, and that transports the grounding energy even better. It conducts that electromagnetic balancing grounding. Everything is based on electricity and magnetism. The poles are the magnetism in the earth, and it creates a balancing, and that is what we need to do with our bodies. We need to ground and balance ourselves. This is absolutely vital. This is, if people don't listen to any health advice other than this, they will already be way, way better off than not doing any of this. So if you don't listen to any of the other stuff, at least do the grounding, and that doesn't cost anything. You can just go out there with your bare feet. You stand on the grass or the cement for at least 10 minutes. In the summertime, you can be out there for hours. That would be way more beneficial for your health. And if we can sleep on the bare ground, or if we can sleep on something that is also grounded, that would be the ultimate. So the people in Alaska, there's a town called Haines, Alaska, and everyone in that town, that entire community, the people are all on board with the grounding, because that one person, I think he's a medical doctor, or some of them are medical doctors, and they are on board with this. And one guy from Haines, Alaska, he was there from there originally. They used to play with the earth soil as children, growing up like this, with lots of grounding and nature and being out there in total nature, basically. And then he moved to New York, which was a complete clash with what his body was actually used to. So then he became a stockbroker and lived this very artificial life in New York. Gorgeous looking man, and probably had tons of friends, tons of money, and all of that. He got so severely sick, and the doctors didn't know what it was, that he almost died. And he talked about this in the documentary film. He was skin and bones, and they thought he was gonna die. And then his inner voice said to him, now you have, you're at a fork road. You could die, or you can make yourself well, because you made yourself sick. You did it. You didn't know, but this inner voice, once you're really connected to the infinite cosmos, you hear that voice. And he decided, I did it. I did it to myself. I went to this artificial place that my body can't take it. I got to go back to Haines, Alaska, and that's what he did. And he said, so if we make ourselves sick, we can also make ourselves well. That's what Tony Robbins is always talking about. People make themselves sick physically and mentally. Okay, people with their lifestyles, with their drug consumptions, with toxic relationships, with toxic parents, with surrounded with narcissists, and I call them the real bad ones. I call the psychopathic narcissists, because almost all humans are narcissistic in some way. Okay, some of them could be animal rights activists and have a halo around them. We still have a little bit of this personality in us. There's also nothing wrong with it, a little bit narcissism, a little bit selfie narcissism. Hey, I want to celebrate myself. Okay, but I don't know whether you can, that's natural self-love, but it's easily laid out by other people as narcissism, of course. But there's also a little bit neurotic narcissism in me, or I see it in almost everyone. The problem comes in when people's narcissism becomes hurtful towards others, okay, and when they are completely unconscious about it, and when they are mean, and when they are destructive to their environment, when they do destructive CEO work for corporations that pollute, that's when it becomes criminal. That's when it becomes psychopathic or sociopathic, So they're very, very similar anyway. Psychopathic is more like people deliberately hurting someone physically, like in a very direct way. Sociopathic is people hurting others or the environment or animals in a more indirect way, but out of greed. So, but it's all very much interrelated, all of these things. There's unconsciousness behind it in people that act out in a toxic way. There's also unconsciousness behind it when we don't listen to our inner voice, our bodies, and we do things just out of social convention that will then backfire on us. That can backfire on people with their health, whether it is people being surrounded with toxic people or family, or workplace, or job, or location like New York, or any large city that is mainly very artificial and not designed for us, for grounding, for playing in nature, for a healthy, balanced ecosystem, which every child and every person and every animal desperately needs. So to be healthy, just to breathe in that air, that wet air that comes from the forest. And I just absolutely love looking out the balcony. Paul has cut that all off now. And now I don't see the balcony railing, and I can see it just straight out down into that jungle and the parking lot downstairs, and it looks so incredibly good. It's so incredibly beautiful. When I'm on the computer, I always look over there and feel that deep, deep, infinite gratitude towards the nature that is there in our garden, and people don't have to have even their own property. They can look at a tree. They can go out there, find a tree, or find someone's front yard and touch a flower or smell a flower. It's possible. You can do it. Or sit somewhere on a lawn and just appreciate that. But a lot of people, they don't see the importance of it. They think this is snowflake talking, or that they feel pressured by. I hear all of these things. Republicans, they'll call it snowflake. Then a lot of liberals call it snowflake, and they think this is somehow race-based or racist even. Oh my gosh, no, it's not racist for me to sit on my grass and enjoy nature. No, it is not. It's the opposite, okay? So, but I hear all of this. So I hear all of these things. And there's so many things that I want to talk about. So many things. But this brings me to the subject that I want to really, really talk about this. Really want to get this across to the public as best as I possibly can. There are people in the chat rooms. There are haters in the chat rooms that come there. Sometimes they come there in groups. I wonder what that is all about. Are they sent in there deliberately? Is that some kind of organized online recruiting going on? Like, we send you out there, you and you and you and you go into this chat room. We see the snowflake group talking, having a good time. You go in there and disrupt. So I have the feeling that's what's going on, because they usually come in groups. If they only come as one person, then they feel outnumbered, and then they get kicked out very quickly by the other people. One person coming in there can get blocked by everyone else and get taking a beating verbally, and in terms of arguments also, because the hater never has the truth on his side. Most haters are men. Women usually have better things to do with their lives, and the women usually care more and have things to take care of in their lives. Animals or children. It is usually men who feel frustrated with their lives, and then they let it out on other people. So the group of haters comes in there from Black Lives Matter and sees us talking about Donald Trump and his accomplishments and praising him and liking him and being upset and angry that we don't have a democracy, that even though Donald Trump won by 60% or something like this, somewhere around that, then the judges still rule in favor of Biden, so there's no democracy. We were talking about this, and it is very important to talk about this. So the group of haters comes in, and it's also interesting that they come in right at that moment when we're talking about that. So they come in, and there was this guy, I recognized him. He's come to my channel before. I'm not going to mention names. He's come to my channel before, and he acted very friendly, like we were buddies or something. And there he is again. Suddenly he's insulting me and becoming really vicious, and I just see us out of seemingly nowhere, but obviously where it comes from is he saw that I am a Trump supporter. He maybe has not seen that before. I hadn't seen him in like 2 years. So you didn't know that I was a Trump supporter. Just because I'm an artist and I'm a free mind doesn't mean automatically I am a hardcore liberal. Okay? And I'm also not a conservative either. So, but that's also real hard to swallow for a lot of people. What? Not a liberal? Not a conservative? What then? Like you gotta be on either one side or the other. That's just crazy. She must be a troll. I'm a love troll, okay? So I go with justice and love. Donald Trump's about justice and love, so I go with Donald Trump. I love him. He's an angel soul. He's amazing what he's accomplished. Okay, Norway had nominated him for a peace prize. Okay, so because he is withdrawing the military from all around the world. Okay, and Biden and Harris, I'm terribly worried they might put all of that military personnel back into the world, okay, causing more and more division and hate and war, okay, because they work for the corporate agenda, and the corporate agenda is one of their big players is Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and all the weapon manufacturing corporations, okay, and they have both feet and hands in the U.S. military, and the U.S. military had once been declared autonomous, which was a horrible move, which was very horribly. It was a horrible corruption, okay, that caused the U.S. military to become autonomous. They should never be autonomous. They should be linked towards the Senate and towards all of us. We should all be talking and making reasonable decisions in which steps have to be taken. Okay, but a corrupt politician like Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, those are criminal people, highly criminal. They'll sign anything. They'll do anything. They'll get $1 million to sign this or that. So they'll take the $1 million. They don't care if we have a nuclear winter or world war. The $1 million more important right now. The nuclear winter is gonna affect all of us, including Joe Biden, his drug addict son Hunter Biden, and Kamala Harris, a complete corrupt thug and criminal who should be in prison, and a highly corrupt alcoholic Nancy Pelosi should be in prison. So we were talking about this, and the truth needs to be said, okay? So we need to say who is who in all of this, that we are all part of this, whether we like it or not, okay? We're all involved in this because we live here right now, in this era, in this moment of time, on this planet. And it will, all of these, the terrible things that can happen, they will affect all of us, okay? So everyone should have some saying in this. But obviously we don't have a democracy, we don't have a saying in this. When around 60% of the public has wisely voted for Donald Trump, and they're just completely ignored. Okay, they're people that were hired to falsify the ballots and to write Biden and white out the other one. So, and this came out to the surface. It did. All of this did. But the judge ruled. How is it possible that the judge has any saying in any of this when the judge is just completely biased and bribed and corrupt? How can the judge then, how can we leave this to a judge who is corrupt and paid and biased to say, no, we don't, I don't allow another another election process. We should have an election process now that happens, that is done by machines, that is sorted out by machines. Okay, that's what we need to have. And Hillary Clinton was very much interested in getting and moving things into that direction and getting rid of that electoral college and the delegates. And that's what the corporate agenda did not want to happen. That's why they got Donald Trump elected, even though Hillary Clinton had the majority of the votes. So now it is it is Donald Trump they were mainly worried about. Okay, so at that time, when Hillary Clinton lost, the corporate agenda still thought that Donald Trump was way more corporate serving for them, but they didn't realize that he is a saint in corporation clothes. Okay, so let's put it that way. So anyway, the haters, they see this, that one guy sees, oh, Nicola is for Trump. Let me bully the shit out of her, okay? And so he started to bully. I said to him, what's going on? I saw you like 2 years ago on one of my channels, either this one or the other, Nikki Loves Dogs. And we were buddies then. We were like good friends. What's going on? You kept checking on me. How are you doing? I thought you were a nice guy. And then he says, are you flirting with me? You better not. I don't flirt with people like that or something. I don't forget not exact words. And I said, no, I'm not flirting with you. And then that must have really bothered him when I said that. I was just defending myself, right? It's like, no, I'm not. I'm innocent. I'm not flirting with you. Oh, it's a terrible crime to flirt with someone. But no, hey, no, I wasn't flirting with you. All I was saying. And then his ego goes, she's rejecting you. And then he said, I don't date corpses. I laugh about this now, but in that moment, all of my insecurity, all of my, the wrinkles, all of this, all of that these feelings of, I'm not feminine, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not young enough, I'm dark, I'm whatever. They see me as ugly, and they see me as abhorrent looking, and it's they think I'm a burden for them, I'm an eyesore. All of these feelings coming up, all of this pain is inside of me, okay, and that would not be inside of me, that would just beat off me if someone said something like this, like, what's his problem? If he thinks I look like a corpse, okay, that's not my problem. But it is my problem in that moment when the emotions are coming up, okay, so these emotions are my problem in that moment, and I can't deny that. And the reason why they're coming up is because my mother has bullied me from day one in my life, has bullied me throughout my entire life until I stopped talking to her. A couple of years ago, I stopped talking to her. I can't talk to her anymore. It's absolutely impossible. And I had to cut the financial umbilical cord to them because I wish I could pay them back. I wish I could say, here, take it all. Take all of that money that you have supported me with. Take that all back and more. Okay? Plus, like 100 times more interest than the actual interest rate or something. Yeah. Like, or 1,000,000 times with a million times interest. I'll pay all of this back. I'll pay you pay you $1 billion. How about that? If I had it, I would do it. Just to get this, this burden thing, this like me being a burden on my parents, a burden, and like a burden on the wallet, a burden on your eyes, a burden in your life. I'm some kind of, and that's kind of like what they made me feel. If I was to talk to them, they would say, where is that coming from? How can you feel that way? Have we ever made you feel that way? That's so unfair. And I've had these conversations in the past with my mother. I had years. I had, I don't know, 30 years of those conversations with my mother. These, then I went through primal therapy, and then in primal therapy, everything, we go through this, which is, I said it before, it's a very lopsided therapy. It has a validity. It has a very important approach, important for my life, vitally important. But the therapy, the way they conducted it, is lopsided, and so people get kind of stuck in this blame state. We stay stuck in that state of mind of blaming. That's a state of mind of unempowerment. Okay, that's a state of mind that I am trying to help people get out of now. So I got myself out of it, and I'm very, very aware, very consciously aware of that mental state of unempowerment that I have been in my whole life, and this state of mind of, you did this to me, my mother, so this accusation towards my mother, you did this to me, can't you say I'm sorry? Kind of like putting her on the stand and pinning her down and saying, you cannot even say you're sorry? I mean, doing that to her is like, that causes the opposite, that just makes her, that's just fight or flight in that moment. Then she does what she has always been doing. She goes into the neurosis even more, because that brings up old pain. That's a shock in that moment. She's never dealt with that old pain. The only way she deals with it is through severe neurosis and act outs, and denial, and an overinflation of the ego. And that's what the ego does in all of those egos, in the trolls too. They go into overinflation, they go into unhumbleness. They're extremely unhumble. They're going into an overcompensation to make sure they get as far away as possible from that original state that pushes this overcompensation in the first place, which is the state that's underneath, which is the childhood pain of shaming, of humiliation, of feeling low. My brother said that for him it was like this going in front of or behind the vacuum cleaner, lying there and letting that dusty vacuum cleaner warm air blow on his face to soothe his nerves. That's what he had to do as a child. It's like a self-soothing mechanism that some children do when they're lucky, actually are able to do that. This kind of self-soothing mechanism. There are kids that can't even do that. So I don't even recall that I had any self-soothing mechanism as a child. I was raw nerve, exposed to the pain. I didn't even have any kind of self-protection mechanism. I didn't even have ego to protect me. I didn't have denial. I couldn't go into some kind of forgetfulness or into a dissociation even. There are some people that dissociate from that. They will just numb out, or that dissociate into fragmented personalities. I could not do any of that as a child. Never could. My brain is not isn't predisposed in this way. So my brain formations are in a way where I don't have that ability even to soothe myself or to disconnect or fragment in that way. So I was like a screaming nerve. That's what I was. It was so bad, when I'm not going to repeat what they did to the monkeys in the tests, but when a living being is flooded with danger and pain and hostility and there's no escape at all, they bite themselves, they cut. Many women, because of that, are cutting themselves. They tear their hair out and they beat their heads against walls and floor. And that's what I did as a child. I beat my head against the floor, the walls. I tore my hair out. I screamed hellishly because there was no escape for me at all. No escape. My brain didn't have that ability. I couldn't even go in front of the vacuum cleaner to get the warm air on me. So I didn't even think about that. I was just exposed to brutal coldness and pain, emotional neglect, mental coldness from the outside world. Also interesting, I always had bladder infections as a child already, so it became a chronic, symptomatic, permanent issue, where I have to wear really, really, really thick winter clothes. Even in fall or spring I have to do that because I have to wear double pants, and really I have lots of really big padded boots and shoes and socks, and I have to really make sure that I keep warm. And the main thing is it's actually connected to this emotional coldness. That's how all of this is interconnected. It's all energetic. So I had to learn very gradually. I had to learn through trial and error to pay attention to the dangers and to avoid it, and to avoid certain people, and to avoid certain situations, and to protect myself, and to heal myself, and to get better physically, and to learn about this or that. And I was also open for anything that I could find on this way. And we're not instantly educated with all of these things from a full circle spectrum holistic healing approach. So we get only little breadcrumbs of that information when we're growing up here and there. And if we are open to it, we will take those breadcrumbs and we collect them, and we will find more ways to holistic healing and open our eyes to it. And then Annalise told me about primatherapy, and so I read all the books by Dr. Arthur Janov. I got completely focused on that when I was 24, and I was completely decided this is what I'm going to do. I wanted to get my master's in psychology and then go there, but that didn't work out because I couldn't give presentations, so I had to leave psychology, I had to go to LA. I had to do the primer therapy first, and as a client, as also we were also trainees, of course, because legally they were only allowed to have a training center. So we were trainees, whether we actually wanted to sign up for that or not. But I wanted to anyway. I wanted to become a therapist. But then it would take probably 10 years until they would finally decide to give someone that certificate. You are now officially declared a primal therapist, right? So, but Arjanov was there for another 3 years when I came there, and that was great. So then he retired, Franz Janov took over, and things went downhill from there very, very fast. Okay. 2 people died. I'm not going to say that's her fault, but it is the circumstances of the situation, not having Arjanov monitoring them anymore, and every one of them immersed in their own pain. It's really a tragedy, a tragic situation that was happening. And they were making tons and tons of severe lethal mistakes with people, but they didn't know better. They just didn't know. They were not consciously aware of it. I personally paid attention to all of this very, very closely. I monitored this very closely, and my brain almost photographically took notes of all of these things that were happening and why they were happening, because I wanted to get to the nitty-gritty of all of this. I wanted to find out what therapy approach works, why it works, and what mistakes can happen along the path, and why they can unravel like that. So I paid very close attention, but it was also very hard on me. They made terrible mistakes with me as well. I had to have emergency sessions, but that kind of played into their budget, because the emergency sessions were like double the price. So they almost felt like they kind of like coaxed me into emergency sessions. I'm not saying they deliberately did it, but this can happen also unconsciously. Greed also works unconsciously, if people don't know this yet. So it absolutely does. All kinds of things work very, very unconsciously. My brother, for example, he had a photographer. He was a photo model a long time ago. And the photographer said, "Don't you have a sister? Can she come over sometime?" And he would just say to him, "Oh no, my sister isn't very good looking." And that's not true. I was extremely cute. I could have done fashion modeling. Absolutely. Would have helped me a great deal financially. Would have unburdened my parents a lot. Okay. No, he had to say that. He didn't want me to get that attention. Okay. So that's coming out of his own pain, because my dad has praised my artwork, and he saw that, and that was painful for him. Okay. It was painful for him that he didn't have something that he was being praised for. He had my mother always saying, "Oh, you need to have tutoring sessions, and you can't do it without the tutoring." She kept both of us in a very unempowered mind state. Okay. And my dad also chimed in with that. The only thing he did praise me on was my artwork. And with my artwork, I really don't care what anyone thinks. I never have cared what anyone, because there's something energetically about my art process where there is no me in it. When I paint, there is no me. That me is like, I leave that outside the door on the wardrobe hanger. If I go into my artwork, it is total unity with the infinite cosmos. It is infinite cosmos, using my hands, using my body to create color and form. That is the truth. It is for me, it's a childlike state. I talked about this many times before. So, and because of that, I know that that my artwork is true. So nobody could ever say anything. My mother tried to shame it. My mother tried to make this into a pathology. She would say, "Oh, this is pathology," or "This is terrible," or "Oh, you need to see a therapist," because I have also painted out painful things that were hurting me. It was an outlet, it was a vent for me also, particularly in my childhood years. So there was a lot of belly painting, venting, emotional pain, just speaking out into the color and the form. Okay. And then later on, I started to paint the things that I liked, that I wanted to see, that the cosmic things that I wanted to see. I created this womb-like atmosphere of paradise, and that what I need and what every living being needs, this unconditional love, this complete wholeness, the wholesomeness of color and form, and this total all-encompassing this all-encompassing sphere of the uterus, of the uterus of the infinite cosmos, engulfing us in safety and love and warmth. And just talking about this brings it up now. And so that brings up this exact same feeling what I had last night after I quit the internet. I listened to Valentina Lisitsa play Franz Liszt, and she's also the reincarnation of Franz Liszt, the world's best pianist right now of this era. Okay, absolute star pianist, superstar Valentina Lisitsa. Okay, I absolutely love listening to all of them. There are many amazing ones, but she has that power behind it. Valentina has that power. So after being bullied in the chat room, I listened to Valentina playing Franz Liszt and Beethoven, and I just sat on the couch. I couldn't even cry at first. I had to let Valentina bring me closer to the what Arjanov calls the primal zone, or someone else would call the bodhicitta. You get to that vulnerable place, in your mind, where you can actually cry tears. Most people cannot even cry tears. The haters can't. The haters are beyond that bodhicitta. They have run off 1,000 miles per hour away from that ground zero of their own emotional, the bottleneck, or what I call the ego dissolution funnel, where we can actually cry, where we can actually feel that. Okay. They are so far away. They are panic running away from that. They think that's an abyss of death. No, it's not. That is the portal to existence. That is the portal to complete living. That is the bottleneck that leads us to complete, total freedom, to breathing and freedom, childlikeness, of beingness, of existence, of self-celebration in a wholesome way. Okay, not in a neurotic way, not in an unhumble way, in a humble way, in a humble, infinitely grateful mental state of self-celebration. Self in terms of not ego self, in terms of my skin, my body, my eyes. I am not a corpse. I am vital. There's lifeblood running through me. I might have wrinkles, some wrinkles, right? There's still life. There's life whether there are wrinkles or not. I am alive. There's life going through me. There are all the juices going through me. There's moisture in my skin. There is vitality, okay? Estrogen in my case. Okay? Lots of estrogen, lots of life. And it's good. No shame, okay? No shaming of, she's showing skin or whatever. What is bullshit, So Vera and Tabitha were talking about this in a conversation, and I can so 100% relate to them. 100% relate to what they are talking about. Okay. So when we're shamed by our mothers for being a girl and having girl needs and physical needs and liking food, and that's good to like food. It's good to eat. It's good to live that. Wim Hof talks about it, this zest for life and body function, and there's no shame in it, okay? So even if we get older and get wrinkles, okay, so the people that are becoming corpses, that are on their way to becoming corpses, are the drug addicts, the alcoholics. I'm not judging you, I'm just putting into perspective. The ones that are in denial, okay, they're in a mental zombie corpse state, okay. The haters, okay, that are running away from being one with their bodies, okay. I'm not judging, I'm just putting it into perspective, explaining it, okay. I have empathy for all of them. I can see that it's a painful, gruesome state that they are in, all of those people, whatever they're running away with, okay, whether it's violence or drugs or sex or neurotic interaction with other people, toxic interaction, toxic psychology, whatever people use to in a desperate attempt to try to make themselves feel a little bit better than that what is in that bottleneck, that original pain from the past, from childhood. So they're running away from it. So Valentina Lisitsa playing Beethoven and Franz Liszt put me back into the zone, after this initial, I was almost, getting caught up by this energy, by that ego energy. I still have ego. My ego catches on to that. It's like my ego, I know that energy. Let me latch onto it. And now we're divided now. I am here and you are there, and we are fighting with each other. And in reality, we're all lonely horses underneath. There's no fight underneath. The lonely horse does not want fight. The lonely horse doesn't care if you're plate colored or camouflage colored or checkered or flower patterned or striped like the hood or fuzzy or smooth. Okay. The lonely horse goes, another lonely horse. Let me groom him a little bit on the neck. Let me tickle his lip a little bit. I'm here for you. I offer you my love. Okay. That's what I feel underneath. That's the bottom. That's the body cheetah. I feel that raw pain of you having bullied me. Okay, I feel it. And I feel your pain in this, and I sent you sun rays of love. Okay, The rock sends you sun rays of love, and I send you sun rays of love and compassion, because you are a lonely horse. You're kicking out. You're kicking out because you feel threatened by me supporting Donald Trump. Okay. So you have to retaliate against me, and it's a shadow boxing, because I am just like you. I'm a lonely horse too. Okay. I need love too. Okay. And I'm not talking about sex. And I'm not rejecting you either. So I'm just simply talking about real love, real connection, real compassion, for another living being. There's another living being. Lonely, okay? It doesn't matter whether you are 20 and I'm 55, or whether you are 100 and I am 30. Okay? It doesn't matter. It makes no difference. That's another living being. The ego is the one that puts people in a hierarchy. The ego is the one that latches onto Hollywood and says, oh, we need to compare each other, and we need to nip tuck, and we need to deny our wrinkles and our age and our our saggy, baggy chin area and our whatever hangovers on the belly and the jitter fat and all. We need to nip tuck. People have died nip tucking. Horrific. Okay, there was a woman. She probably was real pretty. I think she was in her early 40s. Going to bars, seeing the 20-year-olds with the, there's a little bit less jitter on the arm. What does she do? She hires some fake surgeon because he charged less money. Some complete fake fraud. Come to her house, cut her open, and not just a fraud, he was also sadistic. Cutting her open in front of the daughter. Well, the daughter finally said, let me get out of here and call the police. And she called the police. She said, my mother is bleeding to death. They need to get an ambulance. The ambulance came. They caught the guy. Luckily, they caught him. I hope he gets the death penalty for that. And the mother died in the hospital. She bled to death. That kept bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. He cut the entire upper arm open. And all of that because of hierarchy, ego, comparison. The arm jitters just a little bit more than the 20-year-old. Oh, no, comparison, hierarchy. I need to fit in. I need to get a 20-year-old. Really? Seriously? No. She didn't need to get approval from some shit asshole jihadist 20 fucking something year old jerk in the bar. Okay? She didn't. No, she did not. Okay? Absolutely not. She could have enjoyed the rave party and the ambient or whatever music they were playing and danced with it and jittered her arm and go like, the heck with anyone, I'm jittering my arm whether you like it or not. I am bouncing my wrinkles whether you like it or not. No, that's what very few people do. Very few people have that rebellion in them. And it is that rebellion that is so incredibly important. Okay? And then after that rebellion comes the childlike state where you just don't care if someone... You don't even need to show the finger anymore. You don't even need to say, hey, get out of my space or something, or leave me alone. You just... okay, they're bullies, they're there. I send them my love. I'm in a childlike state. I'm bouncing my fat. I'm bouncing my wrinkles around. and I'm having fun, and it is all cool, and they don't have to make love with me if they don't want to, and nobody does, and I'm just having fun, and I'm having a good time, and I'm hanging out with my friends. Okay, so no, that is the childlike state. Okay. I go in and out of that childlike state. I go in and out of the rebellious state. I can sometimes be shocked into the camel state, but that is only for a few seconds before my brain goes, oh, there it is again. There it is again. They bullied you. They bullied you into the camel state, and they bullied you into the hierarchy, unempowerment. You want to hide yourself now behind a chador, and you want to get even, or you want to you go to war with them, and all of that. That's all unempowerment. So I was in that for a few seconds. I go, oh, there is someone called Valentina Lisitsa. Let me turn the chat room off. Let me turn Valentina Lisitsa on. Let me listen to her. And she puts me back into the now, the infinite cosmos. That's all that matters. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. The European basset hounds will tell you that. They shake their wrinkles. They shake their wrinkles and their loose skin and their loose chin area. You bet. That hangs down. That hangs like this, like big flaps of the chin. Like, that's what I love so much, you know. They shake that and they go, let's love each other. Okay? And that is the infinite cosmos. And that's why I love them so much. That's why I'm their mother, and that's why I have to have one. I can't live without one. Okay? And so the older I get, the more I relate to them. And they don't care if I have wrinkles. You know, and they don't care. They don't care about anything. They don't care if we fart or burp. They don't care about any of that stuff. They just wanna snuggle with you. They wanna be close to you. They want you to put your arm around their belly and sleep like that, and smell their neck. My papa dog. Every night I hold my belly. Like I held a papa dog's belly the last couple of nights before he died. I had this intuitive feeling already. There was foam in the urine. His breathing was getting wheezy. He couldn't get up on the recliner chair anymore. I had to help. I knew it was end times for the papa dog. I held his belly like this. He snored and felt comfortable. At least he didn't suffer, didn't suffer very much, a little bit wheezing, and it turned out he had lung cancer. And he had a massive stroke. But that's much better than how Kenny suffered in his last 2 years of his life. Much better than that. Kenny suffered horribly. That's why I'm never going to get a Great Dane again, because Great Danes suffer horrible hip and joint pain. Okay, before they die, it gets really bad. So it's not good. That's torture. I can't support that ever. So the Basset Hounds, they have really thick, short legs, and they're like a caterpillar because of that. So the hips are much better. And very important is European Basset Hound. That's a different breed. That's not the same breed as the Americana Basset Hounds. So very distinct difference. So the American Basset Hounds from North America, Canada and United States, the back hangs through. and they have longer backs. They hang through, causes spinal cord injuries, and they also have hip and shoulder problems and dysplasia and all of these kind of things. So that's not good. Okay, so European basset hound, they're designed like a table, so like some kind of nightstand table. It's really, 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 really thick and really sturdy and really healthy body frame, really thick bone frame, really, really, really gorgeous, amazing. But none of them, no dog lives long enough. Okay, so the longest they live is like maybe 13, that's really, really old. Papa dog was almost 11. For his health condition, that was pretty good. And the vet praised us also. He said, you did really well with him, and also with our former dog Kenny, and with Samantha too. He saw all three of them. So I miss the Papa dog infinitely much. Okay, that's the body cheetah feeling and all of this, and that's real love. And when I listened to Valentina Lisitsa, I was put back into the body cheetah after that terrible toxic energy from the hater, making me feel ugly and undesirable. And first, the ego always has this tendency to, I don't care, going to war with you. No, that's not. That's above the. That's way above that bottleneck. That's above that body cheetah, that ground zero. That's above the ego dissolution funnel. I had to go back into the ego dissolution funnel. The music helped me. Then I turned the computer off. I brushed my teeth. And while I was getting ready to go to bed, I did about half an hour long self-affirmation. And I kept saying over and over and over and over in a very calm voice. I said, I am lovely, and I am deserving of love. I am lovely, and I am deserving of love. I am lovely, and I am deserving of love. I am lovely, and I am deserving of love. And I said that over and over and over. In the beginning, in the very beginning, I was still a little bit angry, but I tried to say it calmly. And then it became softer. I am lovely, and I am deserving of love. I think about the horses, the lonely horses out there, the dogs, all the beings who need love, who need cuddling. The haters need it too. They're running so fast away from that pain. So sad. And as I kept saying that to myself and petting my cheek, putting skin cream on, massaging my face, kept saying that the tears were coming out. They were streaming down. It was colliding with my mother's bullying so hard, because what the hater did is that's the same thing. It is that same thing with my mother. The hater and my mother is the same energy. They are in the same mental state. Okay. Different stories, different looks, same energetic state. That's why Jiddu Krishnamurti said it's there. It's the stream of sorrow, as he calls it. It's there. It's not somewhere distinctly somewhere, because that psychiatrist, Dr. David Shainberg, would say, but where is it? Can you show me? He was coming from this, 3D dimension. you show me where is that stream of sorrow, so that I can grasp it. No, it's there, he said. It's everywhere. It is there. It's in another dimension. It is there, in mixed into the dimensions. It's there. It's like a radio frequency. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't. You're immune to it. But you can tune into it, okay? If your ego tunes into it, if your ego gets tickled by that, you can tune into this, and then you can, if you're not going through the bodhicitta, through the ego dissolution funnel, if you're above it, then you are tuning into their frequency, okay? And you feel this, this agonizing, this swastika kind of. The Aborigines in Australia I read a book about this. It's very interesting. They have this swastika type of symbol that is representative for this mental state of resistance. Very interesting that they already talk in these psychological, energetic terminology. Very, very interesting. So, and they recognize that as being very bad, as being not in tune, when we're in this mental state. So they were actually able to put themselves into a mental state of invisibility to the enemy. They weren't becoming invisible suddenly, but they were invisible to the enemy, to the European invaders in the 1800s. They invaded here too. They invaded everywhere in the world. So, and they always went after indigenous people everywhere here too. So, and the Aborigines, those real wise medicine people, they knew how to do it. They said, you can make yourself invisible. Okay, when you have nowhere to hide in that moment, there's no brush even, or water, pond to hide in. Some would go in a water pond and take a straw from a bamboo and have the straw stick out so they can breathe underwater and hide there until the enemies have left. But the people had no time to run anywhere, go anywhere. They would stand there naked with their groin-cloths on or something. And they would stand there like the Joshua tree, like that cacti tree. They would put their hands out. This is the posture of friendship with the Native Americans too. Friendship hand, okay? They have the palm of the hand, the vulnerability out. And they will stand like this, and they will put themselves into unconditional love for the enemy. And in that state, they were not seen by the enemy. This is not made up. This is not some kind of hocus pocus. This is actually true. Okay? The settlers were running right past them, like they were trees. That's what they called making yourself invisible. That is that state of bodhicitta, that state of unconditional love. I'm not always in that state, okay? I'm not there yet for a very long time. I'm an indigo. I'm somewhere in between, in the middle of soul development. But I understand that now intellectually, and I understand it emotionally. So I really get that now, and that's exciting. And I don't know if I will always be able to do it, to succeed. It goes in and out, my mind, in and out of these states, these different states. But the first step is to become very, very, very clear and conscious about it. To become conscious about, I'm in the state above that feeling zone. Or Arjanov calls it the primal zone. I'm above it. I'm in a fight or flight. I'm in an act out zone or whatever. Let me come back to it. I can always bring myself back to it. The moment I recognize I am not in that zone, I bring myself back to it. So I don't know if anyone will watch my videos and for that long, but this is all so important to talk about. But when I did that self-affirmation of saying, I am lovely and I'm deserving of love, the tears were streaming and it felt amazing. It felt like there was a revolution going on in my body, in my solar plexus. It was so raw and so necessary. This collision course with my mother's resistance towards me, with her hate, her jealousy, her disapproval, her trying to control the situation, or trying to shame me, to gain a little bit ground of the upper hand ego state somewhere way above that primal zone. A terrible state of mind. Okay. Toxic for her and others. Okay. So I had to revolutionize myself out of that. Step by step by step by step. And I made it, and I'm making it, and I'm going through it. Okay, we don't reach a plateau. It is a continuous healing and growing and learning and going through. That's what this is, and it feels good. It feels empowering, and that's where I want the whole world to go. Okay, you guys take care. Peace and love.